Hi everyone, Cherries here. I hope this month has been treating you well. October is coming up, so in today's Plan With Me video, we're doing a new monthly bullet journal setup together. Before we get into my October 2023 BuJo setup, I want to give a huge thanks to Ohuhu for sponsoring today's video. They sent me some art materials to try out, such as their spiral-bound mixed media sketchpad with 200 GSM and micro-perforated pages, their Maui series dual-tip water-based brush pens with 160 colors, which I'm gonna be using for my illustrations in this setup. I actually find the markers really cool because it has a brush tip and a fine liner tip that is great for drawing fine details with the same color. And they also sent me a pack of their black fine line drawing pens. These are similar to the Pigma Microns, and there is also a calligraphy pen included. Thank you so much, Ohuhu, for supporting my channel. I will leave the link to their website and the items featured here on the video description. I use watercolors a lot to paint my illustrations in my setups, but I'm no stranger to using brush pens. With watercolors, I can mix different shades that I want, but since we have a lot of color options from the Ohuhu brush pen set to play with, I am excited to make art with this medium again and show you how we can blend these colors to create more shades. So for my theme this month, I'm going for an autumnal cafe or coffee shop. I know it's not a unique theme for me to do because I've done it in the past, but for this one, we're including a bit of the interior design elements in a coffee shop. I'm not really a fan of Halloween and spooky themes. Anyway, first, I wanted to draw a girl reading a book while having coffee. We're using a dark autumn color palette, and I think it matches the color scheme most coffee shops use. I will be showing the color codes I'm using in case you have the same brush pens and if you would like to recreate them on your own bullet journal. When working with brush pens, I would start with a black pen outline and then color them afterwards. But we won't be doing that here, we're just coloring them right away on top of my pencil sketch. But you can still do the outlining for your guide if that's what you prefer. So we started with the skin tone color on the face that is barely seen in the picture. It's always a better way for me to draw characters in a small scale. She's wearing a dark brown suit with a green scarf. The Ohuhu brush pens are not that juicy. I would say the brush tip is sort of similar to Sakura Koi brush pens, but even with this consistency, I'm still keeping the pressure on my hand really light because I will be adding some shading or more layers, so you can see that example on her hair. We used a light yellow base, then orange and browns until we create shadows and highlights. Then we can use the fine liner tip to draw more strands. But just like using watercolors, I recommend waiting for each layer to dry before adding the next one, or color the other elements in the meantime and then come back to add additional layers. Another way to not have too many layers is to blend colors. For example, on the scarf, I want to add shadows. I'm taking the color I used for the base in a gray brush pen. You can place the tip of the gray brush pen on top of the light green. Make sure it's pointing downwards so the pigment nicely flow on the other color's brush. But sometimes I find myself placing them on the same level if I'm trying to control how much dark pigment I want. Then we can just apply that on the area and don't worry about making the tip of the lighter one dirty because the dark ink will wear off anyway. You can do the same process again when you think you need more shadows. I was pretty confident drawing the smallest detail such as the hands because of the fine liner tip, so I really like that about these pens. But now that we're done with the character, next we're drawing a round table with brown. Then there are also body bag using a combination of darker brown and gray, a green book, a croissant on a plate, and a phone. Doing a coffee shop facade would be nice to look at in a composition like this, but I didn't want to do another storefront illustration this year. Maybe next year again. But I think it's okay to have a window element again, right? So we're doing that for the background. We colored the lowest part of the wall first with a dark olive green, the base of the whole window frame and apron or the thick part below it with a very light orange base. We also use the same base color for the columns that are visible on the outside. Then we can finally add some depth, starting with the columns by blending dark brown onto the light orange brush. You can also notice that by doing this technique, the colors dry up with a watercolor-like effect, which look really nice. And then our window frame using gray and light orange. I feel like I wanted the window frame and columns a bit more sharp, so I decided to draw lines with a black fine liner. The inspiration for this window frame and the view we are going to draw is actually from a cafe in Edinburgh called Waterstone's Princess Street. It has an absolutely impressive view because you can actually see the Edinburgh Castle. Here is the picture that I saw from the internet, so we're going to use that as our reference. I bet the window seating is always full here. So back to our illustration, we are trying to draw the castle. We're using light orange for the base and the fine liner tip of dark brown marker to draw the roofs and walls, which looked more like a doodle. And then using the light and dark olive green for the greenery. I added a bit more shadows on the dark brown areas using an even darker shade for more dimension. I can also see some autumn trees from the pictures, so we are using light yellow to color this section of the window frame. Then we will go with a dark shade of yellow to do tapping strokes, creating textures of the leaves. We are using 3 more darker shades to do the same thing, to add color variations with our leaves and also create shadows. Then we're using dark brown for the little branches. The upper part of the tree looks flat, so what we're going to do is take the dark olive green again and do some really small strokes, which will then create texture. And that looks more like it. I also added another tree which is slightly visible behind the girl. And lastly, we're coloring the sky with this light gray brush pen. Our illustration is finally done. Next, we're going to add this craft paper frame covering the empty space of this page. I think it looked better with it. And then this little strip of black paper with rounded corners for the October title that we will be adding using these wooden alphabet stamps. We'll just use a white gel pen to ink the rubber side and quickly stamp it before it dries up. It's okay if it doesn't transfer well onto the paper, but we can still see the marks that we can use to outline the letters again with our white gel pen. Again, I got this idea from the very talented Tina of Tina's Diary here on YouTube and Instagram. If you happen to misalign a letter, you can always cover the mistake with a black marker or brush pen. And lastly, we just added the white borders around the monthly title, and now our cover page is all done. We're including my calendar on this spread, and we're going for these rectangular boxes for the dates with 6 columns where the weekends are combined together. We're using the same black paper for the title saying dates with white borders as well. I wanted to add a simple decoration here, so I thought of drawing this brick pattern on the edge of the page. I chose some earthy colors. They're basically the same colors I used in the cover illustration. We're drawing these little rectangles with different lengths and colors. They don't have to be perfect, but we're just making sure there are white spaces in between each brick. To make things easier, you can draw the shapes in the border one color at a time in one go instead of doing it by rows. I almost forgot writing the days and dates on the calendar, so I quickly added them with the black fine liner. Alright, that's pretty much it for my cover and calendar spread for October. We can now move on to setting up my planning pages. I was looking through coffee shop menu brochures, so I thought the layout would be perfect to use here. We're using a full spread size black paper, and we cut it in half before attaching to the pages and leaving a little space on the center. This is a better way for me because if it's uncut, the notebook doesn't close properly or I'll find some wrinkles in the middle, then we can just cover this part with a black brush pen. And by the way, we only glued almost half of each on the pages, and then using a ruler and palette knife to create a crease to easily fold them. You can use a paper creaser if you have one, or anything with slightly sharp edge like a dried rollerball pen, for example. That works too. We will be using our trusty white gel pen for the drawings and sections. We are sketching some pastries and coffee related things starting on this upper corner. We are drawing a croissant. You can start with a pencil guide of a crescent moon-like shape. And then with the white gel pen, we are drawing the bigger fold on the center and continue adding more sections that get smaller toward both ends. Then we also added some wrinkles and shading to give it some depth and texture. I like it messy with this one, so don't think too much about it. We also drew a couple leaves here just to fill the space. It's actually my first time sketching on a black paper and it's surprisingly enjoyable. I like how the drawing pops up nicely. Then we have our first section here for my focus. We're drawing these two border lines and stamp our focus title. I decided to go weekly, so we wrote weeks 1 to 4, and below that will be a section for some notes. We are drawing a star anise next to the title. I wanted something small, so star anise it is. If you're thinking about a coffee bean, don't worry because I'm placing that here right on the center of our brochure layout. October is the 10th month, so I thought it would be a nice idea to replace 0 with a coffee bean. Then we're drawing this semicircle arc around with horizontal lines on both ends, and another horizontal line parallel to them in about 3 dot spaces. On that space, we are writing menu. Next, we're drawing a cup of hot coffee, starting with our basic shape of the mug, and then add the shading. I think I got carried away with it, but you can make it less to have a bit of space in between the mug and liquid. Then we are also drawing the steam. I tried to make it a bit blurry by smudging the lines. Under the mug is our saucer. We draw an oval shape and create curvy strokes inside following the shape of the saucer. And some horizontal lines underneath the mug itself as its shadows, and then some leaves again on the sides. Below it is a ribbon-shaped background. I wanted it to be a solid shape, so I decided to use this acrylograph pen from Archer and Olive in beige color to fill it. It's an acrylic paint pen. It has a fine nib, but it's bigger than the gel pen, so it was pretty quick to fill the shape. This will be for my goals section, but let's wait for it to dry before we write the title. I'll have 3 goals for this month, so I'm labeling them as objectives 1 to 3. I wanted to add a bit more color in here, so I thought maybe using a brush pen on top of the gel pen will do the trick, and I guess it worked somehow. On the right hand side, we're drawing a vintage coffee percolator. We start with the lid and then 2 trapezoid shapes for the body with ridges, triangle for the pouring spout, and the handle. Then we're gonna shade again. There are also 2 cinnamon sticks on the side to fill that space. So this section is for writing some fun activities to do this October. Below, I'll have another section for video ideas that I may create and upload here on YouTube. Sometimes I have several ideas, but it always depends on the time I have to work on a single video, but it's nice to have a place to brainstorm. Then we're having another drawing, a slice of cake with raspberry and blueberry toppings, and a couple leaves as well. I wrote the goals title with white, but it didn't show up well, so I'll just go back again with the black brush pen. We're drawing lines near the folded areas as dividers, and lastly are ornamental corners and line borders framing the whole layout. I feel like this is the most functional yet illustrative spread I've done in a while, where I have various sections I can fill, which is nice. Alright, our monthly planning pages are complete. We can then fold this part, revealing an empty space for us to set up my habit tracker. I won't be doing an interactive tracker this month, but I'll have the interactive element on the other side later. So this month, I'm going back to the basic tracker layout with mini calendars. We simply stamped the habit tracker title above. I'll have 6 trackers as usual, 3 on the white side and 3 on the black side. We used a brown brush pen to draw the trackers on the left and white gel pen on the right, and I'm totally loving the simplicity and contrast here. You can move on with this layout, but it looked empty on the other side of the header, so we're going to draw a vintage coffee grinding machine, starting with a bean bowl, gear, screw, and handle, and then the square-shaped body and the powder box. It was a super quick drawing with some shading likewise. We're also drawing the same borders around to match the one we have from the black monthly planning pages. Alright, let's flip the fold here and create a playlist section. We're simply writing the playlist title above, and then we're taking this cutout page from my weekly Dutch drawer layouts. We're using different shades of browns to color 5 rectangular shapes, cut them into these little pieces, and these are where I'm writing my top songs for the month with the song title, artist, and play buttons. Next, on the white page, we are doing another drawing of a pickup station in cafes. We're using black and gray to draw a square steel pole. Then we have thinner one perpendicular to it. That's where we're drawing a hanging signage in an oval shape. I tried to stamp the letters, but they were too big for the size of the signage board, so I covered them again with black brush pen. We'll come back to it later, but for now, let's complete the rest of the illustration, a countertop, and a wooden tray with a receipt. I wanted to do a similar prompt from my August setup, where I had a pick what you need section. It's just a fun place to keep some motivating words or quotes, but in this case, I write Bible verses. I randomly pick them. The verses I picked for August actually turned out to be the words I needed to hear. I got goosebumps because I read them again by the end of the month, since I almost forgot what I wrote, and I was just left in awe because God knew what was to happen that month. It's a situation that can absolutely shake someone, so I held on to those verses that helped me stand firm. So after the background is done, we're drawing to-go coffee cups on a separate paper. I made 4 of them, but you can make more if you would like, and a sleeve that will serve as the holder of these cups. We will attach the sleeve only on the page, and there we have it. I think you can still use this for interactive habit trackers, if you will, but you will need to make them a little bit bigger to fit a mini calendar. Anyway, that's it for these pages. I will write the verses later, But now we can move on again to set up our weekly spreads for October. I'm gonna be using a vertical Dutch door layout this time, and I already cut them out beforehand. So let's begin by drawing some blackboards on the left hand side in different sizes. A smaller one on top and bigger ones below. We're drawing the wooden frames with yellow and a blend of brown, and the insides with black and gray. The top board is where we're writing the week's title. On the second, we're writing cozy is a flavor. I wrote the first word too big that I had to compromise the size of the next words to fit the word flavor in the end. And as you can see, there is white space here. And yes, we're drawing a frappuccino on that, but let's complete the writings on the last board here. It is a verse from the scripture saying, "The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of God endures forever." That's from Isaiah 48. Alright, going back to draw the frappuccino, we're just using the skin tone color and slightly blend it with brown to add shading on the right side of the glass. We'll keep the whipped cream white here and just use the same marker to draw the caramel sauce on top. And we finish it off by drawing a little green straw. Moving on to the daily layouts, we're using the blackest black brush pen in this set. We're drawing these rectangular label backgrounds with concave corners. I'm combining the weekends here as well. There are white frames too on the insides, following the shape and the days and dates of the week. We are also drawing horizontal lines on the writing spaces. I also included my devotional plan in this layout. I'm writing the title on this black paper instead, but with the same shape. I chose this 3-day devotional plan entitled 101 Tactics for Spiritual Warfare. And as usual, I read them on the YouVersion app. I'll also have the link to this plan below if you would like to take it as well. I will be using the SOAP method here, meaning scripture, observation, application, and prayer. Okay, I went back to the illustration earlier to add this brick wall pattern. I'm doing the same steps, but this time I'm just sticking with brown and yellow tones without the gray color. And I think it looked better than the pattern I did in the calendar page. Anyway, we have a blank space again on the other side of the spread. I could only think of drawing another illustration. We're going to draw a girl sitting by the window inside the cafe. We start with the skin again. I'll attempt to draw her side profile this time. Let's see if I can do that successfully. She has a golden curly hair with bangs. She's wearing a comfy brown sweater, black jeans, and gray sneakers. I'm still not ready to draw her facial features at this point, so I decided to draw the bar stools and table first with brown. Okay, I got really nervous with this, especially for the eye and brow, because if I mess it up, I won't be able to fix it unless I cover and start all over again. So I took my time and slowly and carefully draw them using the fine liner tip of the same brown marker. Whew, that wasn't bad. It looks okay. It's not the best, but I'm happy with it. We will go back to add more shadows and details to her hair later. For now, let's draw the background. There's a long vertical blackboard above, a wooden shelf with decorations like a vase of autumn leaves, and a little pumpkin. Beside the board are hanging leaves. We're drawing them with different shades of green, starting with a light shade. We're just doing these messy tapping motions, creating round shapes. We're making the leaves bigger on top and go smaller toward the bottom. We'll do the same thing with the dark shade slightly on the left side of each cluster, and again with the darkest. I decided to use the lightest or brightest shade last on the right side of the clusters because I was trying to space them out well, but that is our hanging leaves. Next is the window frame with brown and black again. We will have the same brick pattern on the rest of the wall using the same set of colors we used on the other side. Let's not forget to add the shadows and strands of her hair now that the background is done. Then we can draw the view on the outside. The pavement and the wall on the exterior using gray and autumn trees to add that fall season vibe in our illustration. We are just blending orange and brown together. Again, start with the lighter leaves and add a darker pigment on the tip of our orange brush to draw the shadowed parts. We're using dark brown to draw the trunks and tiny branches, the olive green for the bushes, and light gray on the white spaces. Lastly, we're writing devotion to label the spread next to it with our white gel pen on the blackboard drawing. And I totally forgot to draw some white lines on the window for the highlights, but it's okay. Maybe I'll just draw them later. Alright, that's finally my weekly and devotional spread layouts. We are down to our final spread to make in this October setup. It is always my monthly review spread. We're drawing the same shapes for the labels again, but this time we're using a brownish purple color. We have 5 of them on the middle of the spread where we're writing key questions such as what am I grateful for, my small wins, biggest lessons, what did I do well, and what I need to improve. I also like to include my favorites of the month in this spread. We're gluing this long black paper on this side. Then we are writing this month's faves title. Listed below are my favorite activity, passage in the scripture, food, song, and show. I saw a wall lettering on a cafe and it looks really cool, so I thought of adding the same style on this empty area in between the prompts. So we're writing pumpkin spice was October nice in orange, dark red, brown, and black fine liners. And we play around with different font sizes, making sure they stand out from the other words, which are coffee terms. And we're using light brown and gray for those words. We are also drawing a hanging light bulb just next to the lettering. It wasn't supposed to be there, but I sketched the words not centered enough and I didn't want to do it all over again, so I just included the bulb drawing. Okay, let's focus on the left side. There's a small blackboard drawing again on top for the review title, and a foliage around it using autumn colors. Below is a couple floating shelves with black bars supporting them. On the upper shelf are packs of coffee beans. Under are some coffee pots. I don't think this coffee shop theme will be complete without an espresso machine drawing, so that's the final illustration we're making. I saw a picture of a brass espresso machine, which looked kind of vintage, so that's the look we're trying to achieve. My base color is quite a bright yellow, but I'll try to mute it by blending it with brown later. So I'm just following the features that I see on my reference, and I'm also drawing some colorful jars on top. You may notice that I'm in a rush already because I just want filming of this setup to be done already, but yeah, we're not aiming for realistic drawing anyway. I just came back to it the next day to add shadows here and there. But when it's done, we can finally flip through my finished coffee shop themed October 2023 bullet journal setup. I hope you enjoyed watching this plan with me video. It's no doubt a very long one again, but I hope this gave you spread ideas for your own monthly BuJo setup. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more bullet journaling content from me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed and amazing month of October, and I'll talk to you soon in my next video. Bye!